Okay guys, before this video gets started, I just wanted to let you know that something happened with the actual video, and the only thing that actually stayed intact was the audio. And I said so much stuff about this book, and I got quite emotional talking about it. So there was no way I was going to re-record the video. So it's just going to be a voiceover with the image of the book. If you hear sounds, it's just me tapping on the book, stuff like that. So I just want to apologize in advance for not having an actual video, but I just could not re-record the video. It was too intense for me. But that should let you know that the book is really good and you should listen to the entire review. Anyway, just wanted to put this ahead of the video. I hope you enjoy it. Hello. Welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we are going to be doing another book review. A while ago, someone had sent me a request saying that they really enjoyed the book reviews and they would like one to be soft spoken. And I said I would try and remember. But then I went back and I looked at my book reviews, and I have never done a book review in a soft spoken voice, and I was shocked because I like to alternate my videos between soft spoken and whisper, and I've only ever done whispered book reviews, which is crazy. So if you requested this video, thank you, and I hope that you enjoy it. I also want to mention that I think someone is doing their yard, but it's quite far away, so you may or may not be able to hear it, although it sounds like it's getting louder. Okay, so we're just gonna go with it, and if it gets too loud, I'll pause. I don't know. Okay, so today's book review is going to be another book by Kristin Hannah. I'm sure you are not shocked because I absolutely love Kristin Hannah. And her older books are good, but her newer books are just fantastic, okay? But I was not very excited about this book. This book is titled The Women, and the reason I wasn't just thrilled about reading the book is because it's about the Vietnam War, and that is, I've never gravitated towards that subject. If you know anything about me, you know I gravitate more towards World War II. I do really like history. I love history, but I've always hated when I had to study and write papers and stuff about the Vietnam War when I was in college and stuff like that. Ugh, I dreaded it. So I remember reading the description, and then I was like, nah, I'm not gonna get it because they only sell it in hardcover. And I'm like, well, and it was very expensive, and I was like, I'm not doing it. But my mom found it on a really good sale on Amazon, so she actually bought this book for me, so thanks, Mom. So we have to open the book like this, because whenever you get a hardcover, the description is on the, I don't know what they call this, like inside book flap sleeve thing. I don't know. Okay, so let's read the description and then I will tell you all about this book. Alright, it says, women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frances Frankie McGrath hears these words, it's a revelation. Raised in the sun-drenched, idyllic world of Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. As green and inexperienced as the men went to Vietnam to fight, Frankie is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of war. Each day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant. In war, she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. But war is just the beginning for Frankie and her veteran friends. The real battle lies in coming home to a changed and divided America, to angry protesters, and to a country that wants to forget Vietnam. The Women is a story of one woman gone to war, but it shines a light on all women who put themselves in harm's way and whose sacrifice and commitment to their country has too often been forgotten. A novel about deep friendships and bold patriotism, The Women is a richly drawn story with a memorable heroine whose idealism and courage under fire will come to define an era. Okay. First of all, I'm just gonna put it out there right away. This book is a 10 out of 10, or 5 stars, or whatever the book community gives it, okay? Kristin Hannah, I think that when she writes historical fiction like this, like The Nightingale, like The Four Winds, she's at the top of her game, because she does so much research, and these are historical fiction books, but I'm telling you, they're true, because she interviews so many people and she puts their real stories into the book, and she weaves them in such a way that it's just amazing, okay? And I was wrong. I was glad that my mom bought the book, so I didn't have to like waste my money on something that I wasn't going to like. But this book was fantastic. It was fantastic. And Kristin Hannah is so good at writing. And the reason that I say that is because in books like this, like The Women, the main character is Frankie, or Frances, and she goes to war. She signs up for war. She is a nurse. She does everything right growing up. She does everything to make her parents happy, and she does everything right. And her brother goes to war, and she misses him, and she's very naive, and she thinks, well, I'm not doing much to help the war, and no one really knew at the beginning of Vietnam War. They didn't, I think they assumed that it was going to be like World War II, where it was like it's your duty to sign up, and but the Vietnam War was very different than World War II, as we all know. So, at the beginning, people didn't sign up. But then, as time went on, there was no more signing up, and it was, you're going. The government said, you're going, and that's that, But when her brother signed up to go, they are from a military family. It was his duty. He was doing what everyone in his family did. And she missed him, and she said she wanted to help. She wanted to be of service to her country, and she also wanted to make her father proud, because he had a whole wall dedicated to heroes, and I guess in her brother's going away party, one of his friends was there, and he was like, look at all these heroes on the wall, and she's like, yeah, it must be nice, because she wasn't on the wall, and he told her that, well, women can be heroes too, because it was a wall of heroes, and that really stuck with her. And then she decided, I'm gonna sign up to be a nurse in the Army or the Navy, whoever would take her, right? And her parents were very angry. I mean, this is the early 60s, the very beginning of the Vietnam War. And back then, it was not a very common thing for women to join the army, okay, or go to war. And her parents were very, very angry. And this girl, I want to say child, but she was 21. She actually believed that, hey, she might see her brother over there, like they could hang out. Very naive. And she did get a very rude awakening when she went to Vietnam, as I'm sure every single person did when they went there. And it just follows her and her experience over there. And the book is broken down into 2 parts. There's part 1, before the war, during the war, and then there's part 2, after. And Kristin Hannah wrote the characters so well. I was sucked in by page 2. By page 2, I was already invested in the character, and I needed to know more. And the way that she writes the characters, it makes you feel like the characters are real, and you identify with the characters, and she sucks you in so much that you become the character. You become Frances. I became Frances, and I was like, I need to know what's going to happen to me. And you feel like you're just in it. She sucks you into this story, okay? And you get drawn into the relationships that she builds in Vietnam. And it's very hard, the experiences that she has, because she is a nurse. She doesn't see combat, but she sees combat, because she has to be there for the people who are injured, who no longer have legs, who have been hit by explosions and what do they call it? Napalm? Something like that. And doing all these surgeries and stuff like that while bombs are going off. At one point, it got so intense that the enemy found their location and they had to turn off all the electricity and they had to do surgery by candlelight. While bombs and guns are going off right outside. It's insane. But she also had fun. It's like what they say, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And it really, really was. And there are things that happen over there that are just, I'm trying not to cry. But there are things that happen over there that are just so sad. So sad. And there are people that are lost, like, that's why it says that, it said somewhere, I don't know, friendships end because one day you're working next to someone and the next day you're not. It's really hard. It's so real. It's so real. It's like you can see everything, you can hear everything, and you can feel it. Like it's actually happening to you. And then she comes home. And she did not get the welcome home that she was thinking she would get. She came home to a country that hated her because people didn't know what was going on there. No one knew. And when she told people, I was in Vietnam. No, you weren't. There's no women in Vietnam. She was told that repeatedly for years and years and years. And this book, it covers decades, okay? And that's very hard because she was traumatized. She had, I would assume, PTSD. I don't think they knew what that was back then. And she tried to get help. She would go to the VA, a place where you would go to get help. She was a veteran. And the VA told her, there are no women in Vietnam. The VA said this. She tried to go to counseling sessions and stuff for veterans, and they were like, this is only for men. Women cannot come to these meetings. So she struggled. I loved the whole first section, but I also hated it because it was so good and it was so bad. But I really hated part 2. I hated it so much that I was like, I don't like the way that this book is going, because things got really bad for her. And I was like, what are you doing to me, Kristin Hannah? There were things that happened in this book that I was so happy and so joyous. And then I was enraged. Actually enraged and angry. And then I was heartbroken. in every single way that you can be heartbroken. Every way. Every single way. And that's why I think that Kristin Hannah is just one of the best writers, because she made me feel every emotion possible. And I'm reading a book. It's a book. But she paints the picture so well. So well. And then I get to the end of the book and I'm like, there's only like 2 chapters left here. What's going on? I felt like I wasn't going to like how it ended. And then I get to the last chapter and I'm like, I do not like this. I do not like how this is ending. But I was like, I guess it's ending okay. You know? The book was so good. And then I got to the last chapter and I was like, I just don't. This isn't going to be one of my top, you know? And then I got to this, to the second to last page. There was a page and a half left. And she got me. There was a page and a half left. And almost at the very end of the first page and a half that was left, there was one line. And I lost it when I read that one line. I was crying so hard that I could not see. I'm trying not to lose it right now. It was 3 words. And I lost it. I was crying so hard that I couldn't see. I could not read another word. And I had to take a break for like 10 minutes. And then I was able to finish the book. And I literally sat there. I closed the book. And I just cried. And it was a happy cry. It was a sad cry. It was like, she got me. She got me. This book was so good. And after I was done crying, I immediately was like, I wanted to open it and read it again. I wanted to read it again because it almost like, I don't know how to describe it. Isn't that pretty? It made me think about life as a whole. Like, almost like on a spiritual level. But this book isn't spiritual at all. It's not even the least little bit. But because of the way that it ended, it was like, I need to read everything again so that I can re-experience everything again, knowing the end. Because those 3 little words, god dang. It was so good. So good. So, like I said, this is a 10 out of 10 book. 10 out of 10. 5 stars. Whatever the highest rating is. This is great. And the back of the book says, and I showed this book a while ago, and I read the book and I was like, well, we'll see. This says, praise for the women. The Women is historical fiction at its very best. So moving, so wrenching, and yet in the end uplifting. Brava! I loved The Nightingale, me too, and The Four Winds, but The Women is my favorite. I think I would have to read The Nightingale again, but I don't think that this is wrong. I think it's very accurate. These are my favorite of hers: The Nightingale, The Four Winds, and The Women. And I think this is accurate. And I was really like, yeah, right. When I read this, I was like, yeah, right. Because come on. And I read The Four Winds and I gave that a great review. And I love The Nightingale. I bought The Nightingale so that I could have it, but I haven't reviewed it on the channel. I will at some point. I will, I promise. But I think this is accurate. It's just so good. And I didn't read it again. I didn't reread it because I told my mom as soon as I was done reading it, I would give it to her, and I've made her wait so long because this book has made me. There are things in this book that enraged me. Like physically, I was physically angry and I wanted to punch something. So I had to take a break. I've had to take so many breaks during this book because it affected me so hard. Like the anger, the rage, the heartbreak. And I'm talking every level of rage in every way that you can have. I had it. Heartbreak. Every single way that your heart can be broken. Yes. Just so many emotions. And that's why this book is so good, because it's like literally it's words. It's words on a page. And before this book was even released, it came out in February of this year. In January, before the public even had access to it, I think not Warner Brothers, I don't know, one of the movie companies, they bought the rights to it before it even came out. So that should tell you that this is amazing. Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to shut up because I probably sound like a crazy person. But if you read anything, read this. Read this book because you will not regret it. I loved it. And I hope you really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you soon.